We're playing modern Song of Creation combo with the perfect piece of tech. Shifting Woodland borrowed from Underworld Breach combo. Let's go check it out. This video is proudly sponsored by Card Market. This is Modern Song of Creation combo, and I'm so excited to showcase it for you today. I did record a list right after the unbanning of Mox Opal that you can find in the card above, where I was playing Beseech the Mirror, and honestly, it was pretty serviceable. I liked it. However, I believe that the deck list that we'll be playing today is even better. If you go back and watch that previous video, we lost to a lot of blue decks. And there was no real way around that. You either had Pact of Negation backup or you didn't. And in most situations, Pact of Negation was not enough. Well, that changes today because we're playing Shifting Woodland. This land where you have Delirium, you can pay 4 mana and copy a permanent card in your graveyard until end of turn. So, a Song of Creation, which means that if you play your Song of Creation and it's countered, you can then come back with a Shifting Woodland that will just be a Song of Creation, and then you could start playing cards like your Mishra's Bauble, Mox Opal, and start triggering the song in order to win. We like that. But how do you get Delirium? Well, we're a deck that already plays Mishra's Bauble, so there's one. We play Fetch Lands today because we're playing Shifting Woodland, which requires a forest. So when you're playing Fetch Lands, that's another type to the graveyard, but you also get to play Surveil Lands, which is a huge level up in the deck list. So I love that. All right, so we have a few ways to get cards in the graveyard there. We have Strike It Rich, Preordain, Gut Shot, and Noxious Revival. These are all efficient cards that add other cards to the graveyard. Or other types to the graveyard, I should say. But the real reason, Malevolent Rumble from Modern Horizons 3, you can pay 1 and a green, look at the top 4, put a permanent card into your hand, and then you create an Eldrazi Scion. The rest of the cards go to the graveyard. So it naturally digs for Shifting Woodland while providing Delirium. And then you just have a way built into your deck at beating the blue decks. It also increases speed. So we're not playing Pented Prism today, which is a card I loved in the last video. I was actually a little bummed to cut it today. But when you're playing Rumble, this card gives you another mana, so you can still win on turn 3 while digging for Song of Creation and fueling the graveyard for Delirium. This card does it all. It also gives you cards to Noxious Revival back. Like, Malevolent Rumble is very, very good here, I guess is my point that I'm trying to say. So this is the glue that holds this list together. And I think that is good enough where I'm willing to cut the Beseech the Mirror from the deck. Because now you have this finely tuned engine that can also beat blue decks. It really shored up everything. But why would you choose to play Song of Creation over Ruby Storm or Underworld Breach combo? One, it's a lot more fun in my opinion. 2, it does not use the graveyard. Well, you don't have to use the graveyard. I just showed you the Shifting Woodland Delirium win. But in reality, there's a lot of graveyard hate right now, and you could just play Song of Creation from hand and win the game without ever really leveraging the graveyard. And I think that's the level up here, because right now there's a lot of main deck Nile spell bombs and things like that. Ruby Storm has Rail in order to win without the graveyard, but it's still a Past in Flames deck. This deck can just win without ever using the graveyard, and I think that's a huge level up. So I'm excited to play it today. Hopefully you enjoyed this slightly long-winded deck tech, and if you did, like, comment, subscribe. I would greatly appreciate your support. But for now, we're going to hop on into the first round. I hope to see you there. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. You can also show your support by becoming a member of this channel. You get sweet perks such as badges, emotes, early access to videos, exclusive members-only content, and access to our members Discord section. As you increase the tiers, there are other rewards such as shop discounts, cyborg guides, and even free donation decks. Click the join button down below to find out more. We also have other ways you can support us, like theepicstorm.com/shop or submitting a donation deck via theepicstorm.com/donation decks. That's enough for now. Let's play some Magic. Match number 1. We're on the play with Song of Creation combo. Yeah, we'll keep. Play Misty Rainforest, pass the turn. So you might be saying, why not play Strike It Rich? And that's a fair question. 1, you're a Song of Creation deck, so you want the ability to trigger Song. 2, we're a deck with Surveil Lands. So I'd rather dig for my Song of Creation on the first turn than play like a piece of mana that probably doesn't matter all that much. They have a first turn Ugin's Labyrinth. We'll use the Misty Rainforest. We'll grab a Commercial District. Get rid of this Mox Opal, I don't need that. Another Wooded Foothills will fetch. Grab Breeding Pool. And we'll play a Malevolent Rumble. We'll take the Boseiju Who Endures, and we'll pass. So it's turn 2. We've already seen 25% of our deck. I would like to find Song of Creation soon. Eldrazi Temple. It looks like they're just going to pass. We find Striker Rich. I think I'm just going to pass the turn here. They Caligan's Command for 2. In response, I'm going to destroy the Ugin's Labyrinth. They find Commercial District. They get rid of Windswept Heath. They put 2 cards on top. Probably not a great sign for me. Sowing Mycospawn. Okay, so they're going to exile one of my lands. Not the end of the world. If I draw a Song of Creation, I can still try to win. They find Bojuka Bog. That's fine. On their end step, I'll activate the Wooded Foothills. We'll go grab Hedge Maze. We don't need Pact of Negation. That can get out of here. Song of Creation, let's see it. Explosives. Doesn't do me a whole lot of good. We'll play Striker Rich. Sanctum of Ugin. They attack for 3, I'll go to 12. Talisman of Impulse. Sure. End step, I'll fetch down to 11. We'll pull a land out of the deck. And now, that puts me at 33%. Like, I should mathematically find a Song of Creation relatively soon. They have a Kozilek's Command for 4. Sure. They put 3 on the bottom, 1 on the top. Utopia Sprawl. A World Breaker. Sure. So now they can search their deck for another Eldrazi. They grab Emrakul the Promised End. Karn the Great Creator. That's actually impactful here. I can't beat that. Because they destroyed my lands and then I have treasure tokens, so we just couldn't find anything. But also, I was never drawing Song of Creation this game. Holy moly. That was not good. Okay, so it's not a matchup where we need Gut Shot, but Mind Collapse kills Karn, which we do care about, so I'll board that in. Kind of want Into the Flood Maw. That would be 64. We'll board out a few copies of Noxious Revival, and then maybe a couple copies of Pact of Negation. Let's try this out. On the play for game 2. Much better. Keep. This is a nice turn 3. Wooded Foothills will fetch. Grab Stomping Ground. Play the Striker Rich. Pass the turn. Basic Forest. Utopia Sprawl. We drew Commercial District. We'll play that. Get rid of the Rumble. I don't need it. They play their own Rumble. The Stone Brain. They chose Devourer of Destiny over the Stone Brain. Talisman of Impulse. Okay, well, I guess it's time to party. We'll grab Breeding Pool. Red, green, blue, and a random color. We'll play Song of Creation. Play Misty. We'll play Mishra's Bauble. I'll fetch in response to the trigger, so that way I don't draw one of my fetchable lands. We'll grab the island. Trigger Song. Okay. Mox Opal. I'll auto-yield to this trigger. Mishra's Bauble's good. We'll play that. So now my Mox Opals have Metalcraft. Tap for a blue. We'll play another copy of Mox Opal. Keep the new one. Play Preordain. This will trigger the song. Put 2 lands on the bottom. Noxious Revival on the Mox Opal. I'll go to 11. We'll play Engineered Explosives. And I will play Offer You Can't Refuse on the Explosives. And the opponent concedes. Nice. Alright, game 3. I think I'll just resubmit. Good hand. Keep. So if I draw an untapped land, this could be a turn 2. So I would have to turn 1 offer on my own Bauble. I'm going to be a coward here. We saw the Stone Brain. I think it's one of the few ways I could lose this game. So I'm going to play an Offer You Can't Refuse and just make sure I don't lose to the Stone Brain. Ugin's Labyrinth. 3 mana. They play a Rumble. Utopia Sprawl and 2 Talismans, Devourer of Destiny. They play the Talisman, sure. Another Song of Creation. Play the Hedge Maze. Don't need a Rumble. That can go to the graveyard. So on their end step, I can Noxious Revival and then offer it untap with Song of Creation mana. Utopia Sprawl, that's fine. So they have 6 mana here with 3 cards in hand. We'll fetch with the Misty. Grab Breeding Pool. Yes. I'll hold control. Cast the Noxious Revival. We'll target their Utopia Sprawl. There's something about Magic Online recently where I actually had to delete a video because it just will never hold priority for me. It's very frustrating. Like, I'm holding the right button, it just doesn't listen. We'll play Commercial District, get rid of Rumble, play out Mishra's Bauble, target them with the Bauble. I know that it's the Utopia Sprawl. Pass the turn. I should have waited for them to like play a Kozilek's Command on their end step. And now they have a Kozilek's Command for 4. I'm willing to offer this. Like, I want them to redraw a card they don't want. And if they don't have anything to do in their hand, this seems like a good exchange for me. We'll draw off the Bauble. So that's land number 4. Ghost Quarter. They destroy my Commercial District. We'll grab a mountain. Play Shifting Woodland. We'll attempt a Song of Creation here. Play Explosives for 0. Trigger Song. Do you have anything? And they just concede. Well, that's one way to win a match. We are now 1-0 in this Modern League. Moxfield.com is the easiest way to build a Magic deck online. They support over 30 formats, including Legacy and many other Eternal formats. There are so many options to view decks the way that you want, from text view to individual cards, mana value, and even card price. There's also light mode and dark mode. My personal favorite feature is card tags. This way you can sort cards by function. Moxfield supports collection tracking, Scryfall search, decklist feedback, and so much more. Follow me on Moxfield.com so you can stay updated on all of my decks. Round number 2, we're on the play. All the mana in the world if I can find a Song of Creation. I have Commercial District, another Surveil off Misty Rainforest, and the Bauble. I think you're supposed to keep this. Like, you actually have a decent number of looks here. We'll play Mishra's Bauble, target myself, Preordain. You know what? Preordain's a card that I would like. So I'll play the Misty Rainforest and pass. There's a Saga, Mox Opal, probably Underworld Breach. We'll fetch, grab the Hedge Maze. We don't need another Shifting Woodland. We'll get rid of that. Play Commercial District. There we go. Play Preordain. Get rid of the island. We'll draw the song. So we're looking at a turn 4 win. Mishra's Bauble. They play an Otawara, Emery. And they hit a Grinding Station. They might have it here. So I think my plan might be to make them respect me and just play Misty Pass and then untap and try to win, rather than show them in Engineered Explosives or Strike It Rich. I guess another thing I could do is Explosives for 0, but then I lose my card for Song. You know what? I'll play the Explosives. Pass the turn. They're thinking on the Saga. So if I Explosives here, they could grab Amber. So if they grab Amber and then have a red mana from hand, I'm already dead. I'll use the Explosives. So if they have Mox Amber plus fetch land for red source, I'm dead, but I don't know if there was a better line. They find Soul Guide Lantern, so I'm probably not dead this turn then. They have another Mox Opal. Okay. They activate the Emery for Mishra's Bauble. So even if they had Underworld Breach here, which they don't, they'd be 1 mana short of Grinding Station. They replay that Opal. And now they would have enough mana. They have enough mana to win. Wow. Yeah. You got it. I'm not going to make them click through it. We can just go to the next game. The Breach deck is very good. We'll bring in our Tormod's Crypts and the Surgical Extraction. I think we could probably get away with no Strike It Rich, and then we'll board out 1 Engineered Explosives. It's just a little clunky. And we'll submit this. My deck with main deck Noxious Revival also did not have any to stop their super fast win. This is not a keep. Actually, I should have boarded out Gutshots. That's what I should have done. This looks fine to me. Get rid of Noxious Revival. So you might be saying, why get rid of Noxious Revival? And it's a fair question. But my thought process here is I already have Surgical to cover it. And I want the Pact Negation to protect my own win. I think we'll keep a Tormod's Crypt. They play Misty Rainforest and pass. We'll fetch with the Wooded Foothills. Grab Hedge Maze. Get rid of Mox Opal. Another Shifting Woodland. We'll play Rumble. I think I'm supposed to take the Misty because I need red mana for Song of Creation and I don't have it right now. Pass the turn. So I could play out the Tormod's Crypt. I'm not going to because I'd rather them fill up their graveyard and not know that I have it. So that's my thought process. Or if they like have, you know, Nature's Claim or something, now would be a good time for them to cast it. But if I wait till later, I might put more tension on their mana. There's a Saga and a Rumble. They take the Emery Lurker of the Lock. Explosives. I'm going to pass the turn. Saga goes up to the second chapter. They play Mishra's Bauble. Sink in a Stupor is a land. We'll fetch. Grab Commercial District. Get rid of Breeding Pool. We don't need that. Another Pact of Negation. I will pass the turn. They make a Construct. And now they're going to make another. So by holding the Tormod's Crypt and the EE, I am allowing my opponent to overextend a little bit. And that way I can get them later. They grab a Mox Opal. Steam Vents. They have 6 cards in hand. I'll take 4. I go to 14. And now they'll play Emery, Lurker of the Lock. Mills over an Underworld Breach. And they did board in Nature's Claim. We'll play Explosives for 0. And we'll use it. They use Mishra's Bauble. So I could Surgical Breach. And then they have to win with Saga. I don't hate that. I'll go to 12. We'll Surgical Extraction on Underworld Breach. They have Swan Song and Nature's Claim in hand. And now we'll play the Tormod's Crypt and exile their graveyard so that way we don't let them accrue value with Emery. They draw off Mishra's Bauble, and they drew another. Okay, well I did what I could. Now they replay the Bauble, so they're effectively drawing 2 cards per turn now. So they'll draw 2, and we drew another land. We'll play Pass. They replay the Mishra's Bauble. So I could have, in theory, turned my Shifting Woodland into a Tormod's Crypt just to get rid of the 1 Bauble, but I don't know if that's a good play. They play Thassa's Oracle, draw for turn. We'll let them look, and then I'll fetch. We'll grab a mountain, I guess. I don't think it matters. Another Noxious Revival. I guess what I could do is I could put a Rumble on top. They draw off the Mishra's Bauble. They use it, and they drew a Saga. So now the pressure's on me to win quickly. Next up, I will Noxious Revival on Rumble. They'll draw off Bauble. We'll play Rumble. They do have a Swan Song, so they could Swan Song my Rumble. They do. And then they have Flame of Anor. Yeah, it's a little annoying. And now they can replay the Bauble. So I think I lose this game if my top card like isn't exactly Song. Grinding Station, sure. Because the constructs are going to kill me. They use the Bauble. So end step, I probably should have done this math, but they did the Bauble on the end step. So if I upkeep Noxious, digging for Song, they could just Grinding Station and then make me lose it. My fear is that this is also the card I have to trigger Song, so maybe that's just dumb. They know what my top card is, and they're clearly fine with me having it. So I think I will Noxious, trying to put the Rumble back on top. And then if they want a Grinding Station, they can, and that gets a dead card off the top. They were fine with me doing it. We'll play Rumble. It also gives me a blocker. Spell Snare. Ugh. Yep. So my opinion so far, and granted we're, 2 matches in, is that I have struggled a few times now to find Song of Creation. Like, I like the Rumble, I like the Woodland, but I've seen a lot of cards in a few games now where I just have not found Song of Creation. So I wonder if there's a way where you could try to combine the Beseech the Mirror list with this Rumble list with the Shifting Woodlands. I don't know if it's possible, but it's a thought. Okay, so they're just playing cards in circles at this point. So now they'll attack for 5. I'm sorry, for 6. I'll go to 3. You've known my top card for a few turns now. Alright, they draw off Bauble. We'll see what it finally is. Another Rumble. So I was trying so hard to put a Rumble on top when we had one. Brutal. And we finally find Song of Creation, but I have nothing to trigger it. So I guess the only way I win this is if our opponent decides to get a little jumpy. So I'll play Song, and then I'll try to switch phases and see if they Nature's Claim. And they don't. When I'm holding double Pact of Negation, we're dead. Alright, so not the best. I'll say that. So what a bummer. We're now 1-1. Looking to make playing your favorite combo deck much easier? Look no further than the Epic Storm Mini Token Combo Pack, which is available at theepicstorm.com/shop for $14.99. This combo token pack comes with 84 double-sided tokens. That includes our classic Storm and mana tokens, as well as fan favorites such as Goblins, Squirrels, and Slime Time Live. But that's not all. We've expanded this token pack to cover a variety of formats with new tokens. Stop on by theepicstorm.com/shop and make an easy decision to elevate your combo game. For round number 3, we're on the play. No lands, yikes. And now we have a Soul Shifting Woodland. We're going to take a mulligan to 5. This is the best hand we've seen so far. We'll put Noxious Revival and another Revival on the bottom. Play the Commercial District. Think we keep land number 4. I'm not excited about it, but we do have to cast Song of Creation at some point. Field of Ruin. We're just facing a hate deck. Okay. We'll play Misty Rainforest and pass. Sure. All land destruction. Yep. Mox Opal. Another Mox Opal. Okay. And they're going to draw a card. Sure. Oh no, I drew... This is not good. So we're facing the deck that has a bunch of non-basic land destruction that gives you basics, and I've drawn 2 of my 3 basics. That's actually very problematic here. They're going to Field of Ruin, so I have to get my last basic. No way. No way. We're going to lose this game basic. I can't cast Song of Creation. I drew all of the basics. And now they can destroy my remaining 2 lands. So I guess my plan is to draw fetch lands now, which probably means I need to use this Mishra's Bauble. Another Song. That doesn't do me any good. Actually, both of those destroy non-basic, so I could probably play out another basic land. We'll pass. And do I want the Song? I guess I should try to protect my Misty Rainforest. Yep. They play a Mishra's Research Desk. So now on my turn, I'm going to have 4 mana for Song of Creation. I just need something to trigger it. We'll grab Breeding Pool. And that triggers it. So we can play Song of Creation. We'll put Mishra's Bauble on top. I go to 15. Trigger Song. They're going to exile my graveyard. I'll still draw 2. And now I can put another Noxious on top. I'll go to 13. Ah, I fizzled. Alright, we have to pass. They're going to destroy my land. I'll say no on the search, because I know that my top card is a card that triggers Song of Creation. They play Seasoned Pyromancer. They discard Mishra's Research Desk and a Bonecrusher Giant, and then they play another Research Desk. I will Noxious Revival, putting Noxious Revival on top. We draw 2 lands. No way. I could have used a land to keep on going last turn, and now I draw 2 lands. Ay. We'll pass. They swing for 4. This will put me to 7. They use the Research Desk. They find another Mox Opal. They find a Flage, so that can put me to 4. They play the Mox Opal. Sure. Field of Ruin. They destroy my Shifting Woodland. This one forces a shuffle, so I no longer have the Noxious Revival on top of my deck. And now they play Flage. So I'll take 3. So if I fetch, I'm dead to a Lightning Bolt. I don't want to risk that if I don't have to. We drew Mox Opal, trigger the Song. Okay, finally. We'll play Explosives for 0. Play Preordain. Okay, that could have been better. We'll keep both of these. Play the Mishra's Bauble. And now I have Pact of Negation for Lightning Bolt. We'll fetch down to 3. And I'll Pact the Lightning Bolt just like I drew it up. We'll use the Misty. Grab our last land. I think the cards are more important than the mana. I will Noxious Revival... Well, Noxious Revival Pact of Negation going to 1. And then offer the Noxious Revival. We'll play Mox Opal. And our opponent got bored and conceded. Nice. We probably want Into the Floodmaw versus this strange control deck. This doesn't seem like a Gutshot matchup that can get sideboarded out. And then maybe a couple copies of Striker Rich. We'll try this. Alright. Game 2, we're on the draw. We've opened up a very good hand I will keep. Turn 1, Mishra's Research Desk. Mox Opal. We'll play Hedge Maze, Surveil. Keep the Shifting Woodland, pass. So the reason I'm keeping this is I want insurance in case something goes wrong. Like, I have the Pact of Negation already, but what if for somehow Song of Creation gets discarded or destroyed? I don't want to risk not being able to play the game. They use the Research Desk and they find 2 lands. They take the Field of Ruin and they play Demolition Field. Okay. We'll play the Shifting Woodland, play Rumble. We find a Mishra's Bauble, pass the turn. So I'm set up for a turn 3 win here with Pact of Negation back up. I don't care about Seasoned Pyromancer, that's fine. Alright, well I think it's time to party. Sacrifice, we'll play Song of Creation. Explosives for 0. Trigger. And the opponent concedes. Perfect. We're now 2-1. You're still watching. Make sure to give this video a like, comment, and subscribe. While you're near the description, here's a reminder to use our affiliate links if you're going to make a purchase from Amazon, Card Hoarder, or TCG Player. Just above those affiliate links, you'll find our social channels. Make sure to join those to connect with us. Alright, time for the 4th match. We are on the play. No way to dig for Song of Creation. We have 1 Surveil land. I think you're supposed to mulligan. Good choice. We will keep. We'll put explosives on the bottom. We'll play Misty Rainforest, pass the turn. Our opponent plays a Wooded Foothills and passes the turn back. We'll go grab our Hedge Maze here so that way we can Surveil. And then next turn I can Preordain. Sure, we'll keep Noxious Revival. Like, if they're on Jund, it gets back my Song of Creation. We'll use the Misty. We'll go search out the Commercial District. Surveil. I guess land 4 helps me play Song of Creation, so we'll keep it. Ooh. Alright, we'll bottom that, and then we'll end up keeping the Shifting Woodland. Pass. They use their Wooded Foothills for a Temple Garden. Interesting. They cycle a Lorien Revealed. Okay, was not expecting that for a Xander's Lounge. Okay, well that's terrifying because if they have Leyline Binding, that just exiles my Song of Creation. We'll play Island, pass the turn. So it looks like there's some sort of control deck here. And that play sequence between Temple Garden and Xander's Lounge strongly signaled that they have Leyline Binding. So something I could do is play Song of Creation, play my land, and then I get 6 looks at a Pact of Negation to counter a Leyline Binding. We'll try it. Song of Creation. It resolves. We'll play the Mountain. We'll play Mox Opal. Trigger the... I guess it's 4 looks. Because now if they play the Leyline Binding, and here it is, I'll Gutshot them in response. I'll go to 16. We'll draw 2. And there we go! We drew the Pact. Had it the whole time. All you had to do was believe in the heart of the cards. They're going to force the... Am I reading this right? They're forcing a Gutshot? There's no way that's right. Okay, that seems very silly to me, but if you want me to win, I'll take it. Well, counter your Leyline Binding. Why would you counter a Gutshot? And now we trigger the song. It seems so weird to me, but, you know, people need to live their best life. We'll play Mishra's Bauble. Okay, things are looking pretty good at the moment. We'll play Striker Rich. What's nice about this is that it turns on the Mox Opal. I'll play Noxious Revival. We'll target the Pact of Negation, I guess. I don't know. We'll draw 2. So now Pact of Negation will go on the top. We will Noxious Revival on Noxious Revival. I'll go to 12. Play another Mishra's Bauble. And then I will offer You Can't Refuse. So now we have 3 treasures. We'll play another copy of Mishra's Bauble. Storm is 13. We'll play another Gutshot, target them. I'll go to 10. And they just concede, which is fine with me. I think I want some number of Veil of Summer. Might want Mind Collapse for Planeswalkers. I could even see Surgical. Maybe some number of Into the Flood Maw. I'm not sure about this one, but Stony Silence is a card that we have to think about. So that puts me at 70 cards. What don't we want here? I think that against a control deck, boarding out Striker Rich is essentially free. So that is 4. I don't think you actually want Surgical Extraction, so we'll side those out. Now I'm at 64 cards. You probably don't need the Gut Shots. And I'll get rid of 2 copies of Engineered Explosives. We'll try this out. Okay, well, I have the Shifting Woodland. We just need to find a Song of Creation. I have Wooded Foothills for the Hedge Maze, Commercial District, and a Bauble. Like, this seems good enough. They took a mulligan to 6. They have turn 1 Wooded Foothills, Breeding Pool, and they suspend a Crashing Footfalls, so they're Rhinos. So that probably means they don't have Stony Silence or anything like that. So I could probably board out the Flood Moss for Game 3, Veil of Summer. I believe that's a card I would like, so I'll play the Wooded Foothills and we'll pass. I'll draw the Veil of Summer. They have a basic Plains on the end step. We'll go grab the Hedge Maze. I think I'd like a Pact of Negation. Play the Commercial District. I don't need another Veil. We'll get rid of that. We'll play the Bauble. Target them. Hellish Norn. Your deck is wild, my friend. Wild. They cycle Lorien Revealed. Yeah, I wouldn't want to draw Hellish Norn either. I get it. They find a Xander's Lounge. That will turn on their Plains to cast Leyline Binding for free. Well, not for free, but for 1. An offer you can't refuse. We'll play Breeding Pool. Pass the turn. Crashing Footfalls. I believe there's 1 counter left on that. Yeah, there's 1. Basic Island. Okay. Another offer you can't refuse. We'll play the Shifting Woodland. We'll pass. They have 4 cards in their hand. And step they hardcast a Brazen Borrower. Sure. And now the Crashing Footfalls. You've got it. I can kill those Rhinos with an Engineered Explosives. They have land number 5. They swing for 3. I'll go to 16. We draw Grapeshot. I'll play Explosives. Would you like to fight here, opponent? The Force of Negation. I would like to Veil of Summer. Well, another thing I could do is offer you can't refuse, which gives them treasures, and then the explosive blows up the treasures, which is a cute play, but I'm trying to dig here for a Song of Creation. And then I'll just use the explosives now. And then I could Brazen Borrower, or I could kill the Brazen Borrower with my Grapeshot. We'll point the original at the Brazen Borrower, so if they, for some reason, in their Rhinos deck had a Consign to Memory, I don't get punished. I know that they don't have Consign. I'm not, like, we can assume that our opponent's a good player, but it's like the small things that matter in case your opponent's a crazy person. The downside of playing Grapeshot there is if your opponent has Graveyard Hate, but I have double Noxious Revival, so I don't think that's actually a concern. And they just conceded. Okay, I won without ever casting a Song of Creation. How about that? All right, we're 3-1 with 1 match left to go. The best Legacy podcast? That would be Eternal Glory featuring myself, Bryant Cook, alongside Brian Cook and Phil Gallagher. We're available on all major podcast platforms and YouTube. The final round. We're on the draw. I will keep. This hand is quite good. Blooded Strand for a Sacred Foundry. Guide of Souls. Gutshot doesn't kill that. We'll play the Breeding Pool. I'll go to 18. I'd like to find a Rumble, because Rumble would allow me to have a turn 3 win. So if I keep this Bauble, and then we draw another artifact, that's still possible. So I will hold for now. Arena of Glory. Ajani. Okay, very good start for them. So they'll create a cat, and then that triggers the Guide of Souls again. Ouch. I'll go to 17. Gutshot. Let's play Preordained, digging for another artifact. Strike Rich will do. We'll bottom the Preordained, keep the strike. Play Stomping Ground. Ouch. Play the strike. And it looks like we're going to be able to combo off next turn. A lot of lists right now are on 2 main deck copies of Thraben Charm. That is something you need to be aware of, because we're a deck that wins using an enchantment. They play another Guide of Souls. And now they swing. So the Guide of Souls can use the 3 energy to pump itself or something else. But you could double Gutshot. I'm not going to. I want those Gutshots to trigger my Song of Creation. And they're holding open mana, so they could be the Thraben Charm. So my best draw would be a Pact of Negation off of like one of the cards pretty quickly. We'll grab a basic forest. We have blue, red, green, and then the treasure. We'll play Song of Creation. We'll play Mishra's Bauble. Trigger the song. Do you have the Raven Charm? Ooh, no the Raven Charm, okay. Play Mox Opal. Auto yield to this trigger. Okay, I'm at 8. I can play the Shifting Woodland. We'll tap it for a green. Noxious Revival, Flooded Strand to the top of their deck and trigger song. I don't want to pay life here when I could just hold, because I might need to use Phyrexian mana more later. I'll gut shot them, I'll go to 6. So I guess I'm dead to double Lightning Bolt here. Well, not anymore. Now we have Mishra's Bauble online. I'm sorry, we have Mox Opal online. We'll play another Mox Opal. Play Mishra's Bauble. Play an Offer You Can't Refuse, which makes me a mana. We'll play another Mox Opal. We're just digging for the Grapeshot now. Keep the new one. I'll go to 4 and we'll Noxious Revival an Opal to the top of the deck. Play Explosives. And then I'll offer it. Firm is 13. We'll play another Mox Opal from 14. We'll play a Preordain. And there's the Grapeshot. So we'll keep the Grapeshot. And they're at 19 right now. We'll play Strike It Rich. Pact of Negation. And then I'll offer the Pact of Negation. Just trying to increase Storm here. 13 cards left in deck. I'll play an Explosives and Grapeshot for 20. That is how we do. Sweet. We likely want the Mind Collapse. I don't think that this is actually a great Grapeshot matchup. Like, there's so few creatures that it kills. It does kill the Ocelot Pride. I remembered. It just took me a second. Well, it kills that, but outside of Ocelot Pride, it doesn't do a whole lot. So I think having Mind Collapse that could kill a Drannith Magistrate or a Ranger Captain, something along those lines, means a little bit more. And you want Pact of Negation because they do have Raven Charms, but they also have like Wear Tear or Orm's Chant in the sideboard. I like some number of Into the Flood Maw as well for Stony Silence or Deafening Silence or anything like that. So we'll board out a couple copies of Strike It Rich and maybe a couple copies of Explosives. And we'll try this. You could also board out a few Noxious Revivals. Let's bring back in these strikes and we'll get rid of 2 Noxious Revival. This is quite the hand. Turn 1 Rumble. We keep that. Sacred Foundry. Into Ocelot Pride. Yep. Shifting Woodland. A good find. We'll fetch. Grab Stomping Ground. Or no, I was supposed to grab Breeding Pool. That was a mistake. Because now, if for some reason, if I lose my Mox Opal, I can't cast the Preordain. That's just silly. We'll play Rumble. I will take a Misty. Pass the turn. So if I draw Song of Creation, we could try for a win. Noble Ox. Land number 2. They quickly use the Arid Mesa. Basic Plains and an Ajani. Okay. Alright, deck, I'm asking you for a Song of Creation. Let's see it. Nope. Let's play Preordain. Bottom both of these. Into the Flood Maw. I'll Bauble myself. I don't need a Strike It Rich, so we'll play the Misty, we'll fetch. Go grab Hedge Maze. Get rid of this Mox Opal. Pass the turn. So I'll draw off the Bauble. It's a land, which isn't very good. So now I'm incentivized to use this other Mishra's Bauble. Flage. That can kill my Eldrazi spawn. And it will. I'll Bauble them. Seasoned Pyromancer, okay. So now they can attack for 5, which puts me to 10. If they have a way to flip the Ajani next turn, I could be dead. We'll draw off the Mishra's Bauble. Mind Collapse. Any Pact of Negation. Play Shifting Woodland, pass. So we saw 33% of our deck this game without finding a Song of Creation. Inside of combat, I will bounce the Ajani. So this will be for 5 again, and I'll be at 5 life. Another Flage, so that will put me to 2. Alright, they're all tapped out. Let's see what we can draw here. That's not going to do it, so we're going to game 3. Unfortunate. I'm just going to resubmit. I like how I boarded for that. I just didn't draw the Song of Creation. I think you're supposed to keep these hands. You're not supposed to just mull for Song of Creation, so I will in fact keep. We'll play the Bauble, target ourselves. Also, I realized that I was talking about Drannith Magistrate. I don't know why. It doesn't shut off anything in this deck. Just a random thought that occurred to me. I'm going to keep the Preordain here. It's just, it allows me to see a lot of cards next turn looking for Song of Creation. Sacred Foundry, Ragavan. That's annoying. We'll grab Hedge Maze. Ooh, that's a risky one. I think I'm going to keep it and then I can kill the Ragavan. It's risky because if they have a Surgical, we lose. We'll use the Wooded Foothills, grab Stomping Ground, kill the Ragavan, pass the turn. They play an Elegant Parlor and Ocelot Pride. Okay. Active Negation, we'll play Preordain, bottom both of these, play the Misty, I'll fetch, grab Basic Island, we'll play Preordain. Think you have to bottom both. Play Striker Rich. So we're in the same situation as we were last game, where if I find Song of Creation, we're off to the races. But I've seen 25% of my deck at the moment, and I have not found it. Arid Mesa for a basic Plains. Ranger Captain. It's a little annoying, but okay. We have the Mind Collapse. We find a land. I'm going to pass. On their end step, I can play the Mind Collapse. They swing. I will spend 4 mana on Mind Collapse, which is not a mode I expected to do this league. I have been silenced. And they have a second one that's brutal. In theory, I could have hardcast Pact of Negation, or I could have Pact of Negation there and then upkeep paid the cost. Something to consider. Yeah, maybe I should have done that. But we drew Song of Creation. We'll play Song. Play a Mox Opal. Trigger Song. Play a Shifting Woodland. We'll play another copy of Mox Opal. And now they're going to silence. Okay. We'll keep that one. Play my other land. Pass the turn. And next turn, I still have a Strike It Rich in my graveyard, where I could flash that back to start the turn if I don't draw a spell. And if they do have a Thraben Charm, I can Shifting Woodland on the Song of Creation too. Seasoned Pyromancer, sure. Not really a card I care about usually. They get rid of a Galvanic Discharge and a Flage. They swing for 3, I'll go to 9. On the end step, we'll go to 8. I'll use the Misty Rainforest. I should have one more Surveil land in the deck, the Commercial District. Get rid of a Misty Rainforest. And we'll draw. Is this an Orm's Chant? I lose to Orm's Chant here. Wear Tear. Okay, we can beat that, I think. We'll draw. Can I beat it? So we're going to activate the Shifting Woodland on Song of Creation. And now I can flashback Strike It Rich. Trigger Song. I have Pact of Negation. So I could pact my own strike here if I have to. I think I'm going to let this resolve. We'll play a land. Fetch down to 7. I think I'll take the Forest just because I want the ability to pay life. So I have 2 copies of Noxious Revival in my deck. One of them has to grab Grapeshot because that's the only way I can win. So I think I'll grab like a Mishra's Bauble here. I'll go to 5, trigger the Song. Okay. So I'll let this resolve. I won't pact it. And now into the Flood Maw. We can bounce Ocelot Pride, trigger the Song. This will draw the Mishra's Bauble. Can I play this Beseiju? I can. So I don't know if maybe playing this Beseiju is wrong. Because if I flip over the Noxious Revival, I can't win. If I play the Rumble. I guess we'll pact my own Mishra's Bauble here. And then I'll pact my own pact. So I have to play a Rumble. And if I flip over the Noxious Revival, I can't win. So now this resolves. Play Malevolent Rumble. No way, we flipped over the Revival. I'm gonna check my sideboard. Yep, there's 2 Noxious Revivals. I have to concede. Well, that hurts. Okay, so that's not a great way to lose the final match, but sometimes that's what happens. The game's not letting me concede here. But it's like, no, Bryant, you could still win. Select the Engineered Explosives. That is not the case. All right, while that's, lagging or loading or whatever, here's the deck list that we played today. Oh, it's finally decided to let me concede. Nice. All right, so my final thoughts. I like Noxious Revival, but there is a list that features Endurance because Endurance is something you can grab with Rumble. The problem with Endurance is that the green card is not free. Your deck actually doesn't play a lot of green cards. So if you wanted to play Endurance, you could play something like Summoner's Pact, but that does nothing outside of the combo turn. You could also play Cash Grab, which is the worst version of Malevolent Rumble. Instead of getting an Eldrazi Scion, you get a food if you control a squirrel. So you're never getting that ability. So it's just look at the top 4, put a permanent to your hand. And that's something you could play. What do you cut for it out of this? Like, are you playing it over Preordain? I think Preordain is probably better than that card. So it's just food for thought. I felt like the deck list today struggled to find Song of Creation. So I don't know where I would go from here. I actually really liked the fetch land mana base with Shifting Woodland. I think that's the best part of this build. The downside is I struggled to find Song of Creation. So if there was some sort of way to add black into this deck naturally and play Beseech the Mirror, that would probably be the best thing forward. But I don't know if that exists. That is where, you know, I think that the deck kind of falls apart. So you could try playing Cash Grab with Endurance and see how that goes. I think I have it somewhere in my account. Yeah, this is a list that I was considering earlier. So this is the Cash Grab list with 4 Endurance. And you have a total of 16 green cards. So it's just tougher to trigger Song of Creation because you're playing 8 2 mana value green spells that are tough to cast mid-combo. And then you have Endurance, which requires spare green cards, which could be these. Don't get me wrong. But this list also doesn't have Preordain, and I felt like Preordain fit the deck a little bit better because it allows you to turn 1 Preordain, turn 2 Malevolent Rumble, that sort of thing. But it's an option. I'm not really sure where to go. I think that this deck has a lot of potential. I really do believe that. I'm not just saying it so you click on a video. But I'd like to continue testing Shifting Woodland. I think that is the future of this deck, and it does allow you more game against those pesky blue decks. So that's all I've got for today. Thank you for watching. I really do appreciate it. I hope you have a wonderful day. And as always, keep storming. Hey, Bryant Cook. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. There's no better way to support our channel. If you're interested in elevating your combo game, visit theepicstorm.com/tutoring for details about our coaching sessions. Don't worry, there's more great combo content coming right up.